Hi, this is Pastor Craig, and whether you found us on the internet or whether you've been a longtime member here at Taft Avenue Community Church, thanks for clicking on this and seeing a brief presentation of our purpose or mission, visions, and value for 2019. And so we are in a season of revitalization here at Taft Avenue Community Church, and one of the quotes that has come to mind to me often as I think about this next season is this quote from Tom Rainer. We always overestimate what we can accomplish in 1 year, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in 10 years. And so keeping that in mind, we are entering into a season of patience. We are entering into a multi-year process and a multi-year plan as we think about the vision and this next season of life for Taft Avenue. So there's a couple things that we're doing with this. For one, we've pitched and are adopting a simplified mission statement and this idea of loving God and loving others. And what we did was we looked at the statement of Jesus in Mark chapter 12, where someone asked Jesus, what is the greatest commandment? And Jesus responds essentially with love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as yourself. And so when Jesus speaks with such clarity, we want to sit up and listen to that. And if you'd like to listen to that message, you can look at our January 6th message of 2019, and that gives a more extended idea of what our new and revised mission statement looks like. So along with the revised mission statement, there's a couple things that we're going to be doing. For one, we're looking at a new vision for 2019, and it is this idea of loving orange. And so there's a few things about this and we're going to be talking about this in our January sermon series. So you could click on any of those if you'd like to hear a little bit more in depth about what this looks like. But Love Orange basically has this component to it, that the address of Taft Avenue Community Church is not an accident, that God in His sovereignty has placed this church in the city of Orange. And so we want to be faithful to that call to be God's salt and light to this community. And so when we're looking at what we're going to be doing, we want to look at Orange and the surrounding community. So it's not just Orange. The logo looks good with an orange, but Villa Park, we hear you, we see you, we love you. Anaheim, Garden Grove, North Tustin, these are all places that we want to be reaching out to, Yorba Linda, that we love and are the surrounding communities, but we are going to be looking at the epicenter of Orange as kind of the focus of our ministry and what we're looking at doing. The other thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a shift in our thinking about where ministry initiatives come from. And what we want to do is we want to decentralize our ministry initiatives. And that is to say, not every good idea has to come from me or from the office or even from ministry leaders. That we want our people in our congregation themselves out in their communities and asking two really simple questions. Where is God at? And what can I do to help? And so we want you to be thinking about, as you're walking the streets of your neighborhood and praying and asking, God, what can I do to help? And as you see things, we want to simply empower you to go out and do them. If there's a neighbor that needs help, to go and do that in the name of Jesus and in the name of Taft Avenue Community Church. We want to release you to do that. And as we do that, we would imagine that this year is going to be a year where there are so many different types of ministry initiatives that are going on. We have an average weekly attendance of 100 people here at Taft Avenue. And I would imagine that's going to mean every week there are 100 different ministry initiatives that are going on. Maybe a couple of you will band together. Maybe somebody says, hey, I have some blankets I want to take down to the homeless shelter. I have some blankets. Let's get together. Let's go down. And when we get down there, let's not just drop off our blankets. Let's say, what can we do to help? And so we're going to start on this process of decentralizing our ministry initiatives. And this year then is going to be, we're going to see lots of different types of things. It's not just going to be the explicit preaching of the gospel. We're going to talk about showing compassion and care to people. We're going to talk about education. We're going to talk about relief. We're going to talk about ministries that partner with other churches. So we're going to be learning how to be good neighbors, how to be good partners with other churches. So there's a lot of things that we're looking at doing. And I think one of the things that as I've talked with people and shared this vision, one thing is that this is going to be a shift in thinking for our community. And one thing that I just want to encourage you to do, I think that there's a sense in which I don't want to do the wrong thing. And I want to encourage us that this is essentially a year of research and development. As we get back here. Here we go. Research and development. That I don't want you to be afraid to make a mistake. I want you to actually go out and try something new and think, I've never done this before, but why not? Okay? So I really want to empower our people in this year to take some risks and not be afraid to make a mistake. No mistake is unredeemable. Go out and get into your community, walk your streets, talk to new people, talk to people you've never talked to before. And so we want to take ministry, take it out of the office, out of ministry leaders, and move it to the people of Taft Avenue Community Church. So that's our Love Orange initiative. And as we do this, we're going to have shirts. Everybody has shirts, right? So we're going to have shirts. We have some for the ladies, and we have others down here that are going to be for anybody. And we'll probably do something like this to start out, and then maybe in the summer redo some shirts. But these, with our kind of new logo and our new vision, is we're going to look at what's going on, and we're going to put these on, and maybe it's about picking up trash on Tustin Avenue or something like that. But we're going to be a presence in our community, and it's going to be about your initiatives that move us in those directions. All right. As we do this, we're going to want to embrace some guiding values. There's 4 guiding values that we want to embrace this year as we enter into a season of revitalization. And the first one is this, and this is maybe the most profound and the most important, and that is this, that we would anticipate that God would move. God has brought us to this point. God has brought us into a new season. And the very first thing we want to do if someone comes with an idea is we don't want to say, well, we tried that before. Or I'm going to wait until I see change. Well, look, the first thing that we need to do is we need to anticipate that God is going to move. And this ought to put us into a posture of prayer. And we're going to be praying, we're going to be asking God where He's at and what we can do to help. And we're going to anticipate that He's going to answer. And by doing that, we are going to ready ourselves to move when He does. So that's our first thing, that we're going to anticipate that God will move. The second thing, the second value that we want to embrace is this idea that we are in a season of removing distractions and calling attention to God. And what that means in many ways, this will put us into a position, into a posture of fasting. Fasting is a spiritual discipline where we remove things that could distract us so that we might call attention to God. And we're going to be doing that in our personal lives, but we're also going to be doing that physically here on this campus. If there are things that might distract a visitor, we're going to take those things down. If there are things that might distract certain people, we're going to take those things down because we want to call attention to God. And by doing that, we want to make our Sunday morning experience an experience that calls attention to God, and that when people walk onto this campus and people walk into our worship center and into our sanctuary, we want them to be directed towards God and have a compelling worship experience. And so we're going to be taking steps to make sure that that's accomplished in this next year. Our third guiding value is going to be this idea of the overwhelming value of each person. As we think about the idea that every person, sinner, doesn't matter, created in the image of God, and that even no matter how far we've fallen, it does not remove this stamp of God's image on us. And as we look around at our community, as we look around at each other, we want to be struck with this notion of the overwhelming value of each person, not only in our community, but not only in our church, but in our broader community. And as we think about that, the value of each person, that might move us in people's directions, that might move us into our community. And as we embrace this notion, we might imagine that God would give us eyes to see people as He sees them. And that is going to move us into a posture of hospitality, where we are going to be welcoming strangers, where we're going to be encountering strangers and engaging with people that we don't know, maybe even people that we're not comfortable with, but we're going to engage. We're going to see the value of every single person in this community. Our fourth guiding value of the year is embracing this notion that we are a congregation of growing people. And one of the weird things about being a growing person is that if I know I'm a growing person, I know that I'm going to enter into new situations that make me feel uncomfortable. Feeling uncomfortable is a sign that I am a growing person. And as much as I might not want to enter into new situations, being a growing person essentially demands that I enter into a new situation. And whether I'm 8 years old or whether I'm 80 years old, God has something new, that you are a growing person regardless of your age. And we want to embrace that, and we want to have a congregation of people that are ready to embrace a new season, even as uncomfortable as it may be. So in this new season, we're going to be looking at our year in preaching. And our year in preaching is going to simply be this, that we're going to be looking at vision, what we're talking about in this presentation, in the month of January. Then we're going to start in a long series in the Gospel of Mark, and we're going to be taking a look at Jesus. And we're going to take a break in the summer, and we're going to look at Psalms and look at how our lives look in light of the Psalms. And we're going to be going through a life mapping exercise for people who've lived long lives, that we can tell our stories to each other. We'll go back to Mark in the fall, and then we'll go to Christmas, because I love Christmas. So this year in preaching, it's kind of an interesting year. We're going to be taking a fresh look at Jesus. We're going to be taking a fresh look at our city. And we're going to be taking a fresh look at each other, starting a new season with a clean slate. Now, where does the rubber meet the road? And this might be why you're watching this. You're like, when's he going to talk about the budget? Well, there are some budget items that this means. So we're going to be looking, and the elders and I have sat down and we've talked about and we put together a budget, and we're going to be voting on it at the end of the month, the last Sunday of the month. But it has a number of capital expenses in there and a couple of budget changes that are going to reflect this vision. The first thing is this, that we want to make some sanctuary and some stage renovations. Simplifying the stage, removing some of the distractions so that we might call attention to God. So we're going to have some very specific things and some strategic things that we'd like to do with our worship setting, in terms of lighting, in terms of sound, in terms of stage presentation. So that's one thing that we're going to be doing. Second thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting ourselves ready for visitors. And what that means is that our courtyard needs a facelift. And so the least expensive way of doing that is with new plants. And so that's what we're going to be doing, is we're going to be putting new plants and new landscaping in our courtyard area, so that it makes it we're going to put some seating in, some umbrellas, something that says, we've been waiting for you. We want you to sit down and we want to have a conversation with you. The third thing is this. This year is really going to be a year that we want to immerse in prayer. And one of the ways we want to encourage our congregation to do that is we're going to be taking what has been our cry room, or our mothers and baby room, on a Sunday morning, and we're going to put some new furniture in there, and we're going to make that a prayer room. It's still going to be a cry room on Sunday mornings, but it's going to be a room in which you and maybe a small group might be able to come and get together and pray. And we're going to make it so that it's a viable space for prayer groups and prayer ministry. The fourth thing is, by God's grace, we want to hire 2 interns this year. We want to hire a worship intern, and we'd like to hire a youth intern. We're looking for them, and we're in process with some folks, but personnel is our most valuable asset, and so we ask that you would be in prayer for that. We don't know exactly who it's going to be, but we have made room in the budget so that we might pursue some younger interns to come on our campus and be part of our life and ministry. And the last thing is, we're going to be using the library, and we're going to convert the library. We're still going to be using it as a library, but it's also going to be converted to a pastor's study, so a place where I can use for study, and a place where I can use to meet and counsel with people in a private setting that's comfortable. And so we'll still be lending our books, but we're going to thin out the library. We'll still lend, but we are going to be using that area so that I can meet with people in this new season. Anyway, we are very excited about what this next season is about. We're excited about this new season of revitalization for Taft Avenue Community Church, and we're thrilled that you clicked on this link to see what's going on. If you'd like to know a little bit more, we have these handouts that are part of our vision for 2019, and everything that I just talked about is in one of these. Feel free to pick one up on a Sunday morning, or come to one of the question and answer sessions in the middle part of this month, any Sunday after church. So we'll see you at the end of the month, and it's great to see you.